Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of BC Plus Live. I'm your host, Jeremiah, W9JAM, with my co host.
Andy, KC9SKV.
And tonight we are going to be covering setting up a NXDN radio for use with the SkyBridge running WPSD for the operating system. The SkyBridge can do a lot of different modes. P25, NXDN, D-Star, Yaesu System Fusion, M17, as well as DMR. And while I don't know of a radio that has all of those modes built in, there are radios that can do certain combinations. But tonight we're going to focus on NXDN. So bear with me just a second, and we are going to take and get in here. All right. And Andy is more of the expert on the NXDN than I am. So I'm going to step back and let Andy lead the charge on this. And if there's any questions that I can't answer, I will jump in and try and answer those. So, Andy, take it away.
All right. Good evening, everyone. And I don't want to say I am an industry expert on this because I am definitely not. NXDN is not hard to set up. And in fact, it's quite a bit easier than setting up DMR in some aspects. And that, Jeremiah, do the pinning. Apparently, there's no pinning happening.
You should be able to see yourself if you've got your screen configured correctly.
Oh, no, mine.
Because you're the only one pinned.
Oh, interesting. All right. Well, very good.
I removed myself on the pin.
Cool, and I see it over on the other screen, so all is well. Yeah, so I'm, definitely not an industry expert on this, but it is actually quite easy to set up. And to date, we're actually going to be operating with a Kenwood NX300 radio. These have been around for quite a long time. I've got 4 of these. They're fantastic portables, but they're super easy to use, set up, and configure. And if you have an NXDN portable, more than likely it is Kenwood. ICOM has some NXDN stuff out there as well. But the configuration is going to remain roughly the same with pretty much all Kenwood portables, which is obviously what we're using tonight. So we're going to start off. It's going to be super simple. If you have an NXDN radio already, you probably already have an NXDN ID. And if you do not, you will need to get one, which is super easy because if you already have a DMR radio, that means you already have a radio ID account, which means that you can. Sorry, Andy? I'm trying to get over. Yes.
Just to make a correction on that, if you just got a DMR radio and you haven't signed up for a radio ID account, it's radioid.net, and you will have to submit the official copy of your amateur radio license to them for verification to get your DMR ID issued. It's not something that's automatically assigned when you get a DMR radio.
Right. That is correct. Absolutely. Once you have that account, once you're verified, you'll be able to go in and actually request yourself a DMR ID, and you'll also be able to request yourself an NXDN ID. So I'll go ahead and share my screen here just to showcase that. And here's my information over here.
Okay, real quick, Andy, NXDN, do you want to tell everybody what NXDN stands for?
I would say that it back in the day, it was a proprietary protocol. Excuse me. Apparently I have something stuck in my throat. NXDN is a next generation digital narrowband. That's what the NXDN and NXDN stands for. It is it uses a different vocoder, but it's also really interesting because NXDN allows you to operate solely in a 6.25 kilohertz bandwidth. And there we are. There we are. Dr. Greg posting some great stuff in there. A lot of people refer to it as Next Edge. I will always refer to it typically as NXDN. If you Google NXDN and look at the Wikipedia page, it'll provide a significant amount of information that can way better explain it than I can. I'm just a user of it, but it is an FSK modulation that even supports encryption as well. Typically, on amateur radio, we don't use encryption. It definitely is more, it was more focused on commercial radios, just like DMR was meant for commercial use, but it was developed jointly by ICOM and Kenwood as an advanced digital system. And I like it. I think it sounds good. I think it's easy to set up. But we'll go ahead and go back here to sharing here. As you can see here, I've got a couple IDs in here, but specifically this one right here, which is the 3813. That is my NXDN ID. That is what we will use to put into the radio. Just like you'll have a DMR ID, you'll have an NXDN ID as well. So with that, we will move over to...
Hey, Andy, real quick.
Yes.
Can you show that screen one more time?
Yes.
I just want to clarify something for people that may be watching that have asked in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Where you see the hotspot and it says the NN afterwards, that NN is your extended SSID for your DMR ID. So what that is when you go into your configuration on your SkyBridge or whatever the other hotspot is that you're using, and you put in your DMR ID, in there, it's actually going to have a spot that is going to be for the SSID. It'll be like a 01 through, I think, 20 something that you can put in there. And that is what that NN right there represents. Just like Andy has 01 for one of his hotspots and 02 for the other one. That's the full DMR ID with the extended SSID.
So now you know.
And knowing is half the battle.
And knowing is half the battle. You're right. You're absolutely right. So I will say this will go by relatively quickly because it is quite easy to get set up. So we're going to jump in over here. And we're going to share the dashboard. And we'll click the doobly-doo here.
While you're doing that, give me just a second to fix something here.
Okay. All right. Okay. I got muted. What, everything okay?
Yeah, I was fixing something.
All right, cool. Fix the doobly-doo. Very good. So as you can see here, this is WPSD dashboard for me. And this is currently running on a SkyBridge. And you see we've got the only thing I currently have turned on. Now I have everything else set up, but the only thing I currently have turned on here is NXDN. You see that we've got a green mode status there, and our network status, NXDN net, is all happy-go-lucky. So that means I did something right. So we'll go ahead and sign in here, and we'll jump into our configuration. The first thing you're going to see right up top here is the ability to enter your NXDN ID. That is where you're going to want to put your NXDN ID. It's required for NXDN mode and NXDN cross modes. Yes, NXDN does support cross modes. So that means you can do NXDN to DMR and vice versa, and I believe also Fusion and a couple others. I don't typically use cross mode simply because I have multiple radios, so I just have a radio for the modes that I typically operate on. P25, DMR, NXDN, Yaesu Fusion, things like that. So once you get your NXDN ID put in there, we'll scroll down here. You can enable NXDN mode. You'll definitely need to turn that on your modem configuration. You don't have that on, it's not going to work. Plain and simple. Very easy. And that's it. There's two extra things that you need to look at. You have your hosts, which I typically am hanging out on 65000. And you can choose which host you hang out on. These are basically your reflectors. And we'll go ahead and pull up actually while we're, let's see, where are we at? NXDN talk groups. We'll go look at our talk group list, which you can yank from pistar.uk, or you can, do not use the repeater book one, by the way. The repeater book one only has literally a handful of them. There's more than this, I promise you. NXDN's more exciting than just those few there. W0CHP has a full list here. This is typically the list that I use. So if you go to w0chp.radio/NXDN-reflectors, that will give you all of the information you need. This is where you're going to want to pull all of your information for all of the talk groups that you need. Now, unfortunately, there's no way to export this information and import it into the software. It just means you have to manually enter it. It's not that bad. I only have a handful entered into mine. I don't use NXDN except for a handful of talk groups. So we'll jump back over here to the dashboard. You're going to want to set your RAN code here. Typically, everyone uses one. One is going to be the way to go. And your RAN code will have to match what you have in the software. Oh, I clicked on the wrong button, didn't I? There we go. So it is a radio access number. That's why is it no longer showing? Give me back my screen, please. There we go. Yes. Radio access number. So you're going to want your RAN code typically to remain 1. Some are set up to use others. Typically, everyone just uses 1. Go with 1 unless you have a bunch of people around. So once that's done, you're set. You're ready. Your hotspot is ready to go. It all comes down to what you're going to have to set up in your radio.
One thing, when you do turn on NXDN mode, you have to click Apply Changes for it to refresh the screen to show you the NXDN configuration area. Otherwise,
Correct.
It will not show it.
Correct. So if I, for example, well, this might actually take a second. So maybe not. Service stopped. All right, cool. So you see that I have NXDN mode turned off. You don't have the option of making any configuration changes until that is turned on. So we'll pop that back on and apply the changes. It'll go and do the thing. And Dr. Greg posted here in our Zoom chat, you can download the NXDN reflector list to a CSV file, but you can't import it. So once you've saved your configuration, it'll allow you to then scroll down and actually get into your configuration. If you do not turn that on and then apply the changes, you will not be able to access the NXDN configuration portion of it. All right. There we go. Simple as that. We're going to jump. Go ahead.
Real quick,
Yes.
if you're on the YouTube and you are not getting the emails, please make sure that I've got the correct email for you to send the link to. Um, it has happened more than once where the email is not showing up for some people because of their email host, because they have previously clicked spam on our emails that have been sent. And if it
It
comes
gets
from our
bounced.
domain, it automatically gets bounced back to us. So if you've ever clicked spam, instead of unsubscribing from certain emails, that would cause you not to get the BC Plus emails.
What he said. So yeah, make sure that the correct information is put in there so you guys can get all of the emails because that's important. All right. We're going to jump over to the software side of things now. So I am running I believe it's the last version of the software that Kenwood released, which is the KPG 111D. And this is for the several different series of radios, actually. So for NX200, 203, 205, 210, 300, which is what I have. And I do have a G model, which stands for GPS. I don't use GPS on mine, but this goes all the way up to NX 901s. So this was released January 18th of 21. So been a while, but these are fantastic radios, and I've got 4 of them. So we're just going to jump right in here. We're going to come over here, and we're going to act like we're doing our initial setup for this radio. Now, mine is pretty much already set up. I didn't want to completely clear out everything, but we will still run through all of the information here. So if you're operating in the Kenwood software, your layout is going to be somewhat similar to this. Excuse me. You're going to want to go into Edit at the top of your screen and scroll down to the NXDN 1 page. That will be your initial setup. So once you're in there, the screen that's going to pop up for you is going to be the General 1 tab, which is where you're going to enter your unit ID, which is your own information. That is where your NXDN ID goes. From there, you'll want to turn on over-the-air alias so that your alias is transmitted over the air. And you can enter in your unit ID name, your own ID name. For me, I just do my call sign, my name. Simple as that, very easy. Group call display type, that is going to be player's choice. You can have it just show your group ID, the calling transceiver ID, or both the calling transceiver ID and the group ID. I've just got calling transceiver ID in there.
Hey, Andy, is there a way you can zoom in at all?
No, that's the bad thing about this software is that it operates extremely small like this.
Okay.
That's a great point, and I forgot that Kenwood is so small. It's just the way they do things. I'm open to a recommendation here.
Take and well, it's a little late to do it now, but I would say OBS and have it resize the screen in OBS for this particular screen.
Yeah, and every time OBS comes into the picture, things start not working correctly.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Let's see here. Can I just show a portion of a screen? No, it does not allow me to.
Try doing Control Plus.
Got it. Portion of screen. And I believe I can do something like this.
Yep.
Hey.
There you go.
Hey, there we go. That's way more better because I'm seeing it over here on the YouTube list. All right, cool. Easy. Awesome. That should be way more better. And I can even see it way more better because I got two screens here and I see it on the YouTube stream. So that's cool. So cool. Awesome. We've got that. So enter in your unit ID, your own. Good to go. Everything else you should have pretty much set up. You can use the stock configuration of your radio. We're not doing any trunking and we don't need to mess with any of the conventional settings here. And click on close and that'll bring up our, let me go ahead and make this, there we go. We'll go back in here to our edit and we will scroll back down to NXDN 2. So we'll open NXDN 2 and we'll come over here to group ID list. This is where you're going to enter in your talk group information. Now, as you can see here, I've just got these a handful of talk groups in there. You know, Parrot North America TAC, M17 Reflector, M17 Project, and a few others. And one that we're going to add in tonight, just to show how to do it, your disconnect ID that you use is 9999. Simple as that. Come over here. It'll automatically try to add a name for you based on the location of where you enter the information. You can leave it as if you want. I don't recommend it. I recommend actually naming them. So we'll name it disconnect. Simple as that. Turn off alert tone. Alert tone does not need to be on unless you want to hear an alert tone for a specific talk group if you're scanning. So once you have your talk group information in there, that's it. That's all you need. I would recommend either screenshotting this information or memorizing what you have there or writing down in which number you have a specific talk group. And I'll show you why here in a moment. So once you have that information in there, you'll close and you'll be open to your zone. So we're just going to do one in here. So for me, we're going to enter in my frequency, which just so happens to be 440-850. Now, these are commercial radios, unless you're running a super secret software that I don't even know if it exists or not. And when you try to enter in, and it depends on which version of the radio you have. The versions that I have are 450 megahertz on up to either 512 or 520. It depends on which K model you have. The software will say, hey, you can't do that. So for example, I'll click into TX frequency and I get an error. Receive frequency out of range. That's okay. It's not actually out of range. It will operate. You just have to click OK. And it'll automatically add in your transmit frequency. Unless you need to change that, unless you have a duplex hotspot. If you're operating on a SkyBridge, you're operating simplex. So you can leave that alone. Your channel type will automatically be selected for your mode here. You have analog, mixed mode, or NXDN. We're operating NXDN. And your transmit mode is automatically going to be set. We're not using DCS tone for any of this. Here's where you select that RAN that I told you were going to be talking about, that you're going to need. Select a RAN code of decode 1 and encode 1. For this one, we're going to enter in Parrot. Simple as that. Your channel spacing will automatically be set. You can either be, I believe I have mine set for very narrow. So you set yourself to very narrow, which changes it from 12.5 kilohertz to 6.25 kilohertz. Signaling type, by the way, doesn't matter if you're on FleetSync or MDC 1200 because we're not actually using any signaling for this. So once you have that information entered in there, you'll double click on your channel, wherever channel you are and that you need to edit. It will double click, for example, on the 1, and that will open up another page. This also is where you will go in and you will make my brain not work. You select your transmit power. For me, it needs to be low. I don't need high power. In here, we've got option signaling. You want option signaling to be set to NXDN ID or none. Select call on PTT. You want a group call. And this is where I recommended having that list, because your ID list number is where you entered in your talk group information. It doesn't tell you which one you're selecting. It just gives you the option of scrolling through which one you're using. Now, if you wanted to call an individual person, you can do that. You would be selecting individual call, but we're not going to go through that today. We're just going through the basic setup information of how to get your SkyBridge MAX set up for NXDN. So for example, if you forgot what you're doing, we'll go back into NXDN2 and we'll see our group ID list. Number 1 is ID 10, which is parrot. So 1 through 11 is what I have set up. So we'll close out of there. And I've got my ID list number set right there for 1, which is going to be my parrot talk group. And that's it. Simple as that. We'll come up here to program, write data to transceiver. This will come up. And we'll hit right. Now, I am using a serial cable. You can use a USB cable, but I'm using a physical serial cable. I'm old school, and this is the cable that I have, and I have physical serial ports on my computers and whatnot, so that's what I choose to use for a majority of my programming. It just works. Said and done. Easy like that. If anyone has any question about how to set your COM port, by the way, you go into setup and you select COM port, and it will bring up this small window, and it always puts it in the center of the screen. So it looks like it's not bringing up anything. I have to move it over. For me, it automatically selects COM1 because I'm physically using COM1 on my device. I have PCIe card in this computer with 2 physical COM ports on it. So that's where you make your selection there. And if you're using a USB cable, you're obviously going to need to go through Device Manager, and you will need to determine which COM port that USB port has been designated. And that's it. You're done. 30 minutes into this, you can have everything you need done. I already have my other zone set up here, which showcases all of my talk groups that I have set up. Now, I have 2 different hotspots. I have the SkyBridge MAX, and I also have a duplex hotspot as well. So I actually have 2 hotspot zones here. So as you see, I've got it named in my zone name Hotspot Sim for simplex. And I'll scroll down 1, and I have hotspot dupe for duplex because I have a duplex hotspot. So except for the difference in frequency, the 2 zones that I have are completely the same. No difference. And that's it. You're ready to go. So let me change this over here and click the doobly-doo and go back to sharing the entire screen. So we'll come back over here to our WPSD dashboard, and we will actually click. There we go. And we'll pull up just like that. All right, let's see here. We'll go ahead and scroll over to my zone here, hotspot simplex. And we'll go ahead and key up for parrot and take a look here. KC9 SKV testing 1 2 3 4 5 on talk group 10 parrot NXDN.
KC9 SKV testing 1 2 3 4 5 on talk group 10 parrot NXDN.
And just like that, you're talking on NXDN. It's very simple to set up. If you want to get into it further, you can start adding user IDs in there, and it'll come up as the alias on your side. You don't necessarily have to do that. There is no easy way to input that information into the software because they don't really give you an option to import that information. Again, this is set up. These were originally designed for commercial use. And as far as I know, nobody has come out with that would be really cool if AnyTone were to come out with an NXDN portable. Because of licensing, I don't see it happening. Just same as you're not going to see AnyTone come out with a P25 radio, which, spoiler alert, we will also eventually be doing P25 as well. So get excited for that. So that's it. It's a simple setup. It won't take you very long. If you have questions, I am open to helping people with this. If you need software, look online. Use Google is your best friend for this. If you have an ICOM radio, ICOM's going to be the place to go. If you need Kenwood software, it's a little harder to get a hold of now. If you have a newer NX series radio, when you purchase your radio, you're probably also paying for the software too. That's one of the downfalls of it, is you do have to pay for the software, except for older devices like the NX300 here. There's software that's roaming around out there that will allow you to program your radio. So, and that's it. NXDN is not super active, but NXDN is active enough that there's definitely people that are going to be on it. We have I think it's a W9WIN system that is actually linked down here. And they actually do some cross moding back and forth. Did you change the thing?
Yeah, because you were talking and it didn't make sense to have this share still on.
Yep, makes sense. No, I just saw the whole screen change. So we have the W9WIN system, and they do some cross-linking as well. So they do P25 to NXDN and back and forth. They also do DMR to NXDN. They do Yaesu Fusion to NXDN, and they have everything all kind of linked. And they're working on building a little bit of a system to be able to do that more. And NXDN's been around for a long time. It's not a super popular mode. But I think we just wanted to be able to create ourselves a video out there for those who are interested in getting into NXDN and give some basics over it. Now, if you need to go over, if you need more information, feel free to reach out. We can definitely help. I can get pointed in the right direction. You can email me if you so wish.
If you submit a ticket, I will take and assign it to Andy because he does have access in the ticket system.
Yes.
For the tickets, so I can get that assigned to him. In the future, we will probably do a show on cross mode for DMR to NXDN on how that works. But that's going to be later in the future.
I think the next one we should handle is P25, and then eventually we should definitely do Yaesu Fusion, and of course D-Star, and then we'll have every mode covered.
Now, if we can just get a radio that does all of those modes in one radio, and you just flip a switch in the radio to a different zone, that would be nice. But licensing.
So, hold on. Kenwood and their VP series of radios. For those who don't know what the VP series of radios is, they are designed. In fact, I will go ahead and pull up the page here. For those of you who are weird like me and like public safety radios, there is one that does exist. This is the Kenwood VP 8000. Now, I had a couple of these as demonstration pieces. They are fantastic radios.
Just a reminder, the 8000 is probably pretty close to the price.
Actually, no, it's not. It's really not. These are actually cheaper than Mother M sells their radios for. Now, like I said, I did have these. I had 2 of these as demonstration pieces. I had them set up on public safety for P25 Phase 1. These also do DMR. They do DMR Tier 1, 2, and 3. And later this year, if not the beginning, I think Q1 of next year, will also support NXDN. That's right. This singular radio will do 3 different modes in all of the bands. It covers VHF, UHF, 700 and 800 meg for typical public safety systems. So yes, it's coming. And we see here that this thing will do just about everything you need it to do. For those of you who enjoy MDC, it does that.
And don't forget, the 168 does QDC, which is AnyTone's version of MDC.
Correct.
And to answer the question I have been getting recently, no, the 878 in its current iteration and the 578 in its current iteration will not be doing QDC. There is a issue with the CPU not having the bandwidth to do that. And there is no way to fix that via firmware update at this time.
They're just not going to do it.
Said, we have a new processor now. It's a much stronger processor, a faster processor, which is evident by the boot time between the 168 and the 878 and the 578. And the next generation of the AnyTone radios will have that same processor for that same increased responsiveness and faster boot time. And will support QDC, MDC, 1200.
Yep.
Yep. So,
but yeah, if you've got like $3,000 or $4,000, maybe $5,000 to spend, and you want to get a really fancy schmancy radio, you can do that because it'll do it all.
Or if you guys want to email bomb Andy for my Christmas present.
He wants one. He wants one. I don't blame
Only
you.
If it was in blue.
No, you get black or you get yum yellow or safety green.
That is nothing some acrylic paint will not fix. And a little bit of sandpaper.
You know, that's fair, but you'll void your warranty.
Warranty.
Yeah, I know.
I'll
not
sell
important,
it as a custom.
Right?
When it breaks, I'll sell it as a custom as-is unit on eBay.
Yep, absolutely. eBay's got them for $4,500. Probably not all the options enabled. You do have to pay per option. Maybe that's got most of what you need. Who knows? You can always add options later. So I got to ask, does anybody have any questions in regards to how to set up NXDN on either the radio side or on the WPSD on your brain's not working on your SkyBridge side?
Yes. There is a raise hand option on the latest version of Zoom. If you move your mouse on your screen, you can click raise your hand and it'll move you where we can see your hand is raised. Excuse me. And Andy will be able to call on you. But I am going to go ahead and thank everybody who joined us on YouTube. We did go a little bit over. So thank you for joining us on YouTube. If you'd like to find out more about BC Plus, BridgeCom Plus, and how you can get access to the extended version of the show, which will be continuing after we sign off YouTube, for our BC Plus members, as well as the exclusive prize wall giveaway for our BC Plus members. You can find that at bridgecomsystems.com. And Andy, if you actually, well, actually, I'll do it.
You gonna do the thing? What are you gonna do?
So what you will actually do is go to bridgecomsystems.com. You'll see where it says BridgeCom University. Mouse over that. Drop down will appear, and you can click BridgeCom Plus. And I will show you that as soon as I get it to respond to my share screen request. Okay. So right here, I'm not sure how much of that you guys are able to see because I did zoomed in a little bit. But BridgeCom University, BridgeCom Plus, click there. It pulls up the website, and you can scroll down, see the different membership options. And the lifetime members do get a swag box that includes some customized items for them, as well as they also will be getting the Duo Max code plug in the future that is currently on sale with the new SkyBridge bundles for Black Friday, as well as the annual members and the BridgeCom Plus monthly members. It is the super code plug. So if you want to get the upgrade to the annual membership or the lifetime membership, you'll be able to take and do that to get access to the Duo Max code plug when it becomes live. So let me get myself repinned here. Find that nail gun to pin myself back to the screen. So
that might hurt.
No, you do the shirt, not the skin.
See, nobody told me that.
Well, that explains all the holes.
It does.
Anyway, so thank you, YouTube, for being here tonight. And Mike, I do see your comment on YouTube that your fire department is using those, and they do weigh a lot more than the AnyTones.
They do. They're chunky, and they have it. I'll just show. Actually, hold on. All right. So one of like many of the four that I have, they have a thin battery, and this one's the thin battery on this is not too bad. But then they have the chunky boy. It's much thicker. And also, here's the cool thing is
you keep talking. I gotta grab
it's all
something real
metal.
quick.
It's all metal. That's it. That's all I had. I was just saying it's metal. So yes, he's very chunky. Yeah, and the battery does weigh a little bit. But yeah, and I think there's another comment. Somebody was asking what the most popular. Yeah, well, NXDN Talk Group is popular. Man, honestly, that's a good question. I hear some things on worldwide. I sometimes hear things on North America. So it's kind of one of those. It's player's choice. You have to listen around. I am either on worldwide. There is a TGIF network. I do hang out on there a little bit. And then South Indiana, because I'm in Indiana and that's linked to our W9WIN system. That's where I'll typically hang. So South Indiana, worldwide, or the TGIF network. Those are the three. Those are the top three for me. Those are where I will typically hang out. Usually I'm over on Indiana. We've got some users here in Indiana that are a fan of NXDN and also do some cross moding as well. So there you go. That's all I got, honestly.
You talking about batteries reminded me of something for our BC Plus members. So let me go ahead and say 73 to everybody on YouTube. We're going to continue with our BC Plus members. Mm-hmm. So thank you for being here, guys. We greatly appreciate it. And again, if you want to find out more about BC Plus and our Black Friday specials that are going on right now, go to bridgecomsystems.com. So for BridgeCom Systems, I'm Jeremiah, W9JEM, with my co-host
Andy, KC9 SKV.
73 YouTube.
73.